Now it's time for a more lighthearted segment, A Good Actually. So Nathan, what is a good actually?
Michael, we do good actually because the world sucks.
Yeah, it does. Boo.
But sometimes when you take a good hard look around at all of the refuse and decomposing banana peels
Nice.
and, garbage juice that seeps through those tiny holes in garbage bags and, gets all on the road, and then the sun hits it and it kind of evaporates.
Hot
and then
garbage.
It stinks up the whole area.
You're going hot
you know,
garbage? Ugh.
Yeah, I know exactly. Sometimes you might look closely and realize, wait a minute, that garbage juice is actually not garbage juice.
Oh.
It's, I don't know, beer.
Also bad.
What are you talking about? Beer's great.
Yeah.
And
no
that,
one is
and that
hot
and
on
that garbage
the road.
bag. Well, hold on. And that garbage bag is actually not a garbage bag. It's a cooler.
Oh.
It's a cooler.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And all you need to do is go in there and, open that cooler and just have one of those nice cold beers.
Wow.
And then you realize, you know what? This is good. And good actually is all around us.
Wow. That's really touching. I really thought you fucked that one up. When you brought it back.
I kind of did. I had no idea where I was.
Ice cold beers really are all around.
I mean, in my house,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You mean
So Michael, what is our good actually this week?
Well, Nathan, our good actually is very personal this week. It was about the best voting experience of my life. So for those of you who don't know, I recently moved to Seattle, Washington. And I just wanted to share how great this voting experience was, because I think I am somewhat stuck in my like voting paradigm that I grew up with, which is like, you go to the local elementary school and you try to squeeze it in at some point in your day, and there's going to be a bunch of people on the ballot that you didn't have time to research probably, and for a bunch of positions that maybe you don't really even know what they do, and then you end up, potentially just picking someone or being an uninformed voter or just not setting yourself up for success as a voter. Well, this experience, for the first time ever, I saw a county administer an election to solve that. So a couple months ago, I just get my ballot in the mail. And a couple days after my ballot arrives, a booklet that's like 30 or 40 pages shows up at my door, which is my election guide. And then yesterday, when I finally got around to voting, which again, I could have done any time over the last couple months, I sat down and I opened up my election guide. And for the 10 or 15 people 10 or 15 positions on my ballot, in the front of the book, there was a description of what every one of those jobs did, so that I could assess who might be a good, like, director of, or the commissioner of the Port of Seattle. I don't know what that job does, but now I do. And I got to read about every single candidate that I was going to vote for, personal statements, their history. And if it wasn't clear, I could just look them up. But there was enough information for the most part that I could use that booklet to decide who to vote for. And I did it at my kitchen table. So I took an hour or an hour and a half to read about everybody and make an informed decision rather than being rushed in the voting booth. And then once I got everything put together, I walked the 2 blocks over to my local drop box, which is one of 80 drop boxes around the city of Seattle. And as I did, everybody I saw had a ballot on their way to the drop box. And I'll remind you, there was not a single, like, federal or huge ticket item on the ballot. We're talking city council members, school board, commissioners of revenue, and a referendum about, like, some affordable housing spending. This was a small election. And every single person I saw walking around those few blocks had a ballot, and they were going to the box. And I was inspired by how many people were turning out to vote for this fucking thing, and how easy it was and how seamless it was. And it's just a model for how well you can run an election to really include people.
You know how I became informed about the candidates that I was voting for?
How?
I had to moderate an entire forum.
See, that's what you're in Virginia. You got to fucking host a debate.
Yeah, in Virginia, you have to moderate a whole forum. I'm not actually joking. I moderated an entire forum for a bunch of the local candidates that were running in my area, and that's how I got to know them.
That's harder.
It's a little more difficult. It's a little more difficult.
So anyway, that just really made my day, and I was proud to live in Seattle.
And that's good, actually.